Diamond rings and no bar stools. One's for queens and one's for fools. One's the future and one's the past. One's forever and one more lasts. It ain't like midnight and cigarette smoke. It ain't like watered down whiskey and coke.
Good morning, everybody. This is Katie Birch. I'm the DCO 3.0 teacher for creating opportunities through cooperative education. Welcome to class on this rainy morning. Today we're working on cover letters and job applications. This is the second part of topic 2 that you'll find in your Google Classroom. Just like I always remind you, communication is key when it comes to doing co-op. So my information is shown here and I'll read it aloud to you for those listening on the radio. The easiest way to get a hold of me is through email or text on my cell. My email is kburch, KBURCH, at nnec.on.ca. Or you can also text me on my cell 807-738-3915. Texting is definitely the fastest way to get a hold of me. So if you're ever stuck on an assignment or you need help with accessing your Google account, please don't hesitate to reach out and call me, okay? Communication. So important for this course. Just a reminder, all of our classes are hosted in Google Classroom. You will access Google Classroom by opening a Google Chrome or a Safari browser, going to www.classroom.google.com, and your login is your first name, your last name, the month of your birth. So if you're born in November, you put 11, and the day of your birth. So if you're born on the 26th, you put 26. So it'll be first name, last name, 1126, whatever your birth date is, at nnecschools.org. That's how you log in. Once you're in, any updates you're going to see on the class stream. I may have already sent you your portfolio from last week. Make sure you save it somewhere. So the stream section is where you're going to find updates and announcements. The classwork section up here is where you're going to find all of your coursework and any lessons that have been posted I upload them to YouTube and post them right here for you. And people is if you need to email me directly, you can email me right in Google Classroom here, or you can just send me a text if you need to get a hold of me. All right, let's keep moving along. Today's class isn't going to be super long because I want to give you time to write your cover letters today. You should have finished your resume last week, and we're moving on to the all-important cover letter. Okay, so what are we covering today? We're going to cover what is a cover letter for. We're going to talk about openings, writing the body paragraph, and closing your letter. And then we're going to take a brief look at the end at job applications. All right, so let me just keep on track here. Why a cover letter? Why bother doing a cover letter? So a cover letter essentially tells the employer what position you're applying for, and it gives you a chance to tell a little bit more about yourself than what's in your resume. So it should be created last. After you know what position you're applying for, that's when you sit down and you do your cover letter, because a cover letter needs to be done specifically for the jobs you're applying for. Yes, it's okay to have a generic cover letter, but you really should customize every single cover letter for each job that you're applying for, because you want to highlight skills that are relevant specifically to that job. Okay, so what is the structure of a cover letter? So I have a sample listed here, and for those who are on the radio, we're going to go over it verbally. So the very first thing on your cover letter is going to be your letterhead. Letterhead is it includes your name, your address, your phone number, your email, ways that the employer can contact you, okay? Then you put the date. So first thing, you put your address and your information. And then the second thing is you're going to leave about 3 spaces, and then you're going to add today's date. Or if you know you're not going to send the letter for a few days, you can post date it. And then the third section, so first your information, then the date, then what you're going to do is you're going to put in the potential employer's information. This is really important because it is important to have this information right, because it shows the employer you've done some research. So in this case, the student called the store to confirm the name of the manager, the person's name and the title. Very often, you're going to find this information right in the job application. If it says human resource manager, it is totally worth calling the place that you're going to apply to and find out the name of the human resource manager. Names are always so much more personal than to whom it may concern. Okay? Spend a little time, do the research to find out who the letter should be addressed to. Okay, so at the top, your address, your name, your information. 3 spaces, then the date. Leave 3 more spaces, then you're going to put the name of the employer, potential employer, address listed as well. Then you're going to leave 3 spaces, and hopefully you have done your research. Oh, my mouse is not cooperating today. Hopefully you've done your research and you found out what the person's name is, and instead of putting to whom it may concern, you're going to put dear, and in this case, it's Ms. Singh. Okay, so just remember 3 spaces. Address, 3 spaces. Date, 3 spaces. Employer and address, 3 spaces. Dear, name of the employer, 2 spaces. And then that's when we dive into the first part of a cover letter. Let me just move. Okay. All the information you can see is listed here. Okay, make sure you have this done correctly. All right, now we're going to talk about the openings. So it's really important that your cover letter has a good opening. It's your first chance to impress the employer. So make sure your opening paragraph grabs and keeps the reader's attention. Okay, firstly, you're going to state the position you're applying for, because they might be advertising for many different positions. So it's really important you are specific about what job you're applying for. And we're just going to go over 6 ways to open a really great cover letter. And I will tell you, the first one, the safe bet, is always a safe one to go to. So I'm just going to quickly show you what an opening looks like. Here's your opening. I'll give you a sample. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay, you can see that Mia in her opening said, as an avid skier since the age of 3, I was very excited to see your advertisement in this week's Independent for a sales position in your store. I believe I have a great deal of enthusiasm and expertise to bring to the skis and stuff. So Mia is obviously applying for a ski job. So let's talk intro. Safe bet. The safest thing to do is to say, I'm writing in response to your ad. You need to state where you saw and the title of the job. So this one says, I'm writing in response to your ad in Saturday's Free Press regarding the position of sales associate at Top Dog Pet Supplies. So they stated what they're doing, where they saw it, and what job you're applying for. Okay, it's almost like if you think about writing an article, who, what, where. Okay, who are you? What are you applying for? Where are you applying for the job? The next thing you could do for an opening, if you didn't like the safe bet, is you could do a name drop. Maybe someone recommended that you applied for this job. So you could say, my co-op teacher, Mrs. McDonald, suggested I apply for the sales associate placement at Top Dog Pet Supplies. Remember, you're still doing those 3 things. You're saying who you are, why you applied, what you're applying for, and where you're applying to. Okay, so really important to still include those things. Okay, the next one you could do for your opening paragraph is you could show off your research. Maybe you know a lot about pet stores. So in this case, the student decided to say, Top Dog Pet Supplies has been Action's #1 pet supplies retailer for the past 4 years running. I am eager to be a part of your dynamic sales team, either at the Action location or at your newly opened Rockwood store. So you're asking to be part of the sales team. You're saying at either location, and you've also stated the name of the employer, but you've done it showing that you've researched the company. This is a popular one too, because people like when you spend the time to find out about the employer. Okay, number 4, the question. This one, I wouldn't use too much, but if you're feeling super creative and maybe you're applying for an artsy type job, that's when I might start with a question. And in this case, it says, what child doesn't dream of having a pet dog? As a sales associate for Top Dog Pet Supplies, I will help every kind of customer select products to enhance the pet ownership experience. I mean, what's neat about starting with a question or starting with something a little more creative is it draws in the reader. You always want to catch somebody's attention. So sometimes you can shock them into catching their attention by starting with a question. But notice again, this opening statement still said what job you're applying for, sales associate, where you're applying for it, Top Dog Pet Supplies. Okay? So those are still key parts to add in your opening. All right. If you love yourself a quote, you can also start your paragraph with a quote. As Swift once said, every dog must have his day. As a dog lover, I am eager to work for Top Dog Pet Supplies as a sales associate for my upcoming placement this semester. Again, another creative way to start your opening, but still stating Top Dog Pet Supplies and sales associate, the job you're applying for. All right, last but not least, flattery will get you everywhere. So maybe you're a regular customer at the place you're applying to. Maybe you want to work at the airport and you love hearing the planes fly by in your community. So you could be creative and flatter them. Say, every time I enter Top Dog Pet Supplies, I'm amazed by your great selection of pet products and the friendly, knowledgeable staff. I have wanted to be part of your team for some time. So in this situation, yep, you flattered them, although I'm not super crazy about them not stating the type of job they're applying for. It's not specific enough. I might have said, I have wanted to be a sales associate for your team for some time. So just remember, be specific, because like I said earlier, you need to make sure that you're applying specifically if you're specific about the job you're applying for, because they may have posted several jobs. And where I live in Sioux Lookout, that is the case. You know, many employers are looking for many employees, so the positions are great in this town. So, okay, so let's take a look. What you're going to do is you're going to think about, how are you going to open? If you want to be very specific, you could. This is an example of a little bit of number 1, which is the safe bet, but also a little bit of showing off what you know, because this person has said that they're an avid skier since the age of 3. So a little bit of personal detail never hurts with a cover letter, especially for your opening. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go take a look at the sample that I posted for you in Google Classroom. And I've given you an example of something that I would write. And usually what I do is I stick to the basics as well. So you'll see that I've posted cover letter template, and I've given you your very own cover letter template with the spacing all ready to go. Okay. All right. So again, I usually start with, please accept this resume as my application for the position of temporary custodian. And if there is a job code listed, it's really important to identify that code as well, especially because just like your resume, it's often the HR people that are looking at these cover letters and resumes and then passing it on to the people in each department. So adding the job code is also important. Okay, so you're going to cite the name of the job and say that you're applying for it, and then give a little qualifier about why you're applying for that position. Okay, so that is the opening. So what I'd like you to do is, at this point, I'm not going to stop and turn the radio on. I'm just going to have you, since I'm recording this, pause the video and work on your opening part of your cover letter at this point. When you're done, you can hit unpause and continue on, and we're going to talk about the body paragraph next. Okay, body paragraph. So we have our address, our date, address of the employer, your addressee, the name of the employer, then your opening statement. Now we're moving to the body paragraph. So you've said that you want to work here. Now you need to say why. It's time to show your stuff. So now that you have the reader's attention, it's time to show your stuff. Okay, remember that as long as your cover letter is impressive enough, the person reading it will go on to read your resume. So cover letter is almost more important than your resume itself. So don't waste your time rewriting what's already in your resume. What you want to do is use the cover letter as an opportunity to pick 2 or 3 skills from the ad, or skills highlighted maybe in the job description, to tell a story and show that you have those skills. And pick 2 or 3 key skills. You don't need to pick all of them, but pick the ones that you think are most important for the job. Because I know where I live, even if you don't have all of the necessary skills and abilities, very often employers will still look at you for the ones that you do have. So highlight the ones that you do have. Don't ever be put off applying for a job if you don't think you have all the skills, because there's always a chance that they'll train you with those skills anyway. So what you're going to do is you're going to answer the questions. How did you use your skills at work? Was there a problem or a challenge? And how did you resolve it? So pick 2 or 3 skills, and I've given it to you in the cover letter sample. Okay, just paragraph 2 is the body. There should be 1 or 2 body paragraphs. Describe in more detail what you will bring to this college or to this employer, and describe what you'll bring to the position. So you're going to talk about qualifications and how those relate to the employer's needs. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I know that last week we took a look at a job description, and we're going to go ahead and work on a cover letter together if we get time at the end of this class. But at this point, what you're going to do is I'm going to show you an example actually of the cover letter. Let's see what Mia did for her ski job. You notice that she has 2 body paragraphs, okay? So she's highlighting her skills, what she knows, and she's also connecting it to her experience. So I always believe if you're going to make a statement that you know something, give an example of how you've used that skill as well. So remember, just 2 or 3, I would say even 2. Cover letters do not need to be super long. They just need to draw the reader's attention. So let's see what Mia did. She said, I know the importance of the right equipment for safety and comfort. So she stated what she knows. And now she's given an example. Last winter, I was a ski instructor at Glen Eden, and I had to help my students fit rental boots and skis. This experience will help me assist customers in fitting their equipment. So remember, she said what she knows, she's given an example, and she's followed it up with a closing here. This experience will help her fit equipment. Okay, so notice how Mia always shows how her skills relate to the job. Also, notice how these skills can be used in different situations. So, next paragraph, this is the second part of her body of her letter. Although skiing is my passion, I am also very active in extracurricular activities. I am the treasurer of my high school student council, and I am comfortable handling money and keeping accounts. So yes, she's applying for a skiing job, but she's also connecting it to other skills she has that are also potentially relevant to the job. As a treasurer, I look for ways to ensure we don't lose money at school events. Last year, for example, I had the ticket sales for our spring dance moved from the second floor office to the school foyer, and within a few days, we had sold all the tickets. I'm also a member of my school's public speaking club and enjoy speaking with audiences large and small. Finally, I've been studying French since grade 4 and would be happy to assist customers in this language. So yes, she has experience with skiing, but she's also highlighting how her extracurricular activities would help a job as well, which means she's also said what she's done. So she was the treasurer. She's given examples of her skills, and she's given a physical example of how she's used those skills in a real environment. Okay. So remember, make a statement, back it up with evidence, close it off. That's key to writing a paragraph. It's just like any essay or paragraph that you write. Okay. So highlight important skills that are relevant to the job, and also highlight skills that may be relevant but not specifically relevant. Like if they're looking for a ski instructor or equipment rental person, how do we know a treasurer is relevant? Well, there's some examples here in your cover letter. Okay, so that is the body paragraph. So what I'm going to get you to do is, if you're watching the video back, I'd like you to pause it here and work on your body paragraph. It's totally fine that as you're working through your cover letter, you send a draft to me and just put a little note that this is a draft because you want me to look over it and give you some feedback before you submit as your final assignment. So just let me know in the chat when you submit it. Just put a little note. Katie, I'd just like you to read this over before you mark it, and I'll resubmit it once I have some feedback, okay? I always like to get feedback on a letter before I send it as my final copy. All right, so we've done the address, we've done the opener, we've done the body paragraph. Now the next step is the closer. So you're always going to end your cover letter with a request for action. What does that mean, action? It means you're wanting the employer to do something with the information that they have. For example, I look forward to hearing from you to further discuss my skills for this position. You can reach me anytime after 4 p.m. at, and then list your phone number. So what you're doing is you're calling the employer to reach out to you for more information or to schedule an interview or an appointment. And in the case of Mia, she said, I believe I'll make an excellent salesperson at Skis and Stuff and look forward to meeting you to further discuss my suitability for this position. Yes, your contact information is at the top, but it is always good to add your contact information in a closing. I can be contacted at any time to arrange an interview. Okay, so make sure you leave it on a positive note, and also come up with another little note about why you think you'd make an excellent salesperson, or make sure that it is a call to action. Like, I really would love to discuss further with you about my suitability for this exciting position. Yes, you can add keywords in there to make your letter stand out a little bit. Okay, so at this point in the video, you're going to pause and you're going to work on your conclusion. And the very last thing you're going to do with your cover letter is you're going to sign it, yours sincerely, your name. You're going to sign with your real signature, and then you're going to type your name underneath. And if you're including your resume, I would also add a little ENCL at the bottom. And all that means, oops, can't type today, ENCL, all that means is that you've enclosed your resume. I mean, really, it used to be when you sent all of this stuff by snail mail, you would put ENCL so the employer knows that your resume is attached. Now it's electronic, but I would still include ENCL in there. Okay, so at this point, you're going to pause the video and you're going to continue working on your cover letter. Oh, look at that. We're flying through our class today. So it should take you most of today's class plus an extra hour to work on your cover letter. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I will certainly work on giving you feedback and make that cover letter the best that it can be. Again, if you're already in a job and you're not actually applying for a co-op position or a future job, what I'd like you to do is to apply for the job that you're currently in. So I'm sure your employer has a job description that you can look at, that you can use to formulate your cover letter. Okay, so at this point, you're going to pause, you're going to work on your cover letter, and then you're going to unpause, and we're going to talk about acing your job application form. So in many cases, an employer will make you fill in an application form, which can be pretty lengthy. So some will want you to fill the form in right away, and others will let you take it home with you. But no matter what, when you're going to apply for that job, bring all the tools you think you might need, even if you don't need them. Being prepared is super important for applying for a job. So bring all the tools you think you might need, and make sure you bring a blue or a black pen with you. Don't fill out an application form with a red pen. Red makes people angry. When I'm a teacher, I don't even mark using red pens because I don't think it's kind. So bring all the tools you need to fill in your application form. And some things to think about with your application. There's some real mistakes that people make when filling out an application. And the number one mistake is not reading the instructions and following the directions. This is a skill that you need as an employee. So make sure that when you're filling out that job application, it is totally fine to say to the employer, can I sit somewhere so I can read this over really well? Not very often, sometimes an employer wants you to sit and do it right there. So ask for a quiet place to sit so you can read through it carefully. So read the instructions and follow the directions, okay? Even if you filled out 100 application forms, read the instructions. I always tell my students that because I have made mistakes not filling things in correctly, even like things like a passport application. Read it, otherwise you're gonna have to redo it anyway. You might as well do it right the first time. Okay, so making spelling mistakes. All right, make sure you spell things correctly. Lots of people have smartphones with them. Check your spelling if you're not sure, okay? The third mistake people have made is not printing and using messy writing and leaving crossed out words or crumpling the paper. Make it neat, write as neat as you can, and try and do your best and fill it out to the best of your ability, okay? If you do need to cross out a word, okay, but just do it neatly. Okay, the next mistake people have made is not applying for a specific position. Okay, make sure you're specific. Okay, also being vague about your availability. This is a huge pet peeve for me as an employer, is people who say, I'm available sometimes. Be specific. If you're available Monday to Friday from 4 till 8, write that down. If you're available on weekends, write that down. And this is a good thing to note too, is if you are you're applying from one position to another position, and maybe you've pre-booked a holiday, now is the time to tell the employer that you have a vacation booked for October 7th to 14th. Otherwise, you don't want to take the job and then suddenly be asking for time off. Let the employer know that you've already had this vacation booked and that you won't be available during that week. Always do it at the beginning. Don't do it a week before you're supposed to go. All right, next blunder is missing the deadline to hand in your application. I've made this mistake. You will miss out on a job if you're not handing in the application when it says the date is due. Very often, human resources won't even look at your resume and cover letter. In fact, most of the cases, they won't look at it if it misses the deadline, unless they have no applications for that position. And the last one is make sure you are dressed professionally, you are polite, because being rude or unprofessional to the person who you give your application to is never a good idea. Even if they're not a manager, they might be one of their best employees. And when they hand that resume to the manager, you want that employee to say, oh my gosh, Katie just came in and gave me this application. They did an awesome job. Very professional, very polite. That's how you want the message to be received when that resume gets into the hand of the manager. Okay, so your task for today's class is to head over to Google Classroom. You're going to work on your cover letter. You're going to take a look at the application form, see how you do. Print it off, fill it out. The application form's not assessed for this course, but it is good to have practice filling out an application form if you haven't done one before. So your task by Sunday, I believe I've said it, is you're going to be working on your cover letter and your resume, and you should have those in to me as soon as you can. And then once I've looked it over and given you some feedback, I might ask you to resubmit because it needs a little bit of tweaking. And then once you're ready to submit your final one, we're going to add it to your portfolio, and we're going to add your cover letter and your resume to your portfolio, and you're also going to submit it for grading. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to stop class there, because I feel like that's enough information for today. And tomorrow we're going to be working on the job interview. We're going to talk about blunders and things to do in a job interview situation. So yeah, that's your task today. This should take you another hour and a half to finish up your resume and your cover letter. And then we'll touch base tomorrow and talk about interview skills, talk about how to answer questions, talk about how to speak clearly. And then on, what day is it today? Tuesday? On Thursday, we're going to talk about workplace safety. So that should get us all the way to the end of topic 4 this week, which is great, because then you'll be able to start collecting your work hours even sooner. So, all right, well, have a great day. Enjoy the cover letter writing, and please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need help. I'm going to go back to that slide. You can text me at 807-738-3915, or you can email me at kburch@nnec.on.ca. Have a great day. Thanks so much.